Welcome to This Explainers, everyone. Have you ever heard native French speakers just chatting away effortlessly and thought, man, I want to do that, but I literally have no idea where to even start? It feels like a massive mountain to climb, right? Well, what if you had a clear, mapped out path that practically held your hand right from day one? Today, we're diving into the exact curriculum roadmap from the Learn French with Friends channel. This is basically your ultimate structured guide to go from an absolute beginner, someone who maybe only knows how to say bonjour, into a highly advanced, confident speaker.
Okay, let's dive into this. The core philosophy driving this whole curriculum is right here. Let's learn French together, one lesson at a time. It immediately sets this incredibly warm, collaborative tone, doesn't it? Because learning a language, it really shouldn't be about just memorizing flashcards in a dark room all by yourself. It's a shared journey. And this mantra proves they're all about removing that intimidation factor. They want to take this huge, monumental task and just break it down into totally manageable, bite-sized pieces. So, here's our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll start with the language learning journey, move on to building core French foundations, then navigating everyday French, advanced mastery and exams, and we'll wrap up with community and extra practice. Let's kick things off with Section 1, the language learning journey. Let's take a bird's-eye view of the process. Starting a new language is notoriously difficult, mostly because it's so easy to get lost in the weeds. But this curriculum? It offers the perfect solution by zooming out and giving you a clear view of your entire educational path. The channel brilliantly breaks everything down into 6 progressive modules. Think of this as your chronological experience as a student. You aren't just going to jump straight into complex French literature. No, you start at step 1 with foundations, move to essential grammar, and then just gradually progress through everyday, intermediate, and advanced French, all the way up to step 6, which is exam preparation. It's this step-by-step structure that builds true linguistic confidence without you ever feeling overwhelmed. Moving on to Section 2, building core French foundations. Let's look at those crucial first stepping stones. Now, what's genuinely fascinating about this first phase is how it establishes the absolute bedrock for complete beginners. You literally cannot skip this if you want to succeed. Module 1 tackles the true basics. And honestly, your success hinges entirely on getting the French alphabet down cold. By internalizing those essential pronunciation rules right from the get-go, you completely avoid building bad habits. Plus, mastering numbers 1 through 20 alongside your days and colors gives you that essential foundational vocabulary you absolutely need to even start formulating thoughts in French. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how the curriculum scaffolds your learning. Once you've got that Module 1 vocabulary under your belt, Module 2 brings in the essential grammar mechanics. You take those numbers and colors you just learned, and now you figure out how to actually stitch them together using pronouns, articles, and verbs. You start mastering basic sentence structure, and crucially, you learn how to ask questions and form negative sentences. This is the exact moment where your scattered vocabulary actually starts transforming into real, usable language. All right, Section 3, navigating everyday French. It's time for some real-world applications. So let's see how this all builds up. We're now in the intermediate phase, where all those early foundational grammar lessons turn into functional communication out in the real world. Just look at the practical applications for Module 3. This is exactly what you need when you actually visit a French-speaking country. You're taking those sentence structures from Module 2 and applying them to real-life scenarios. We're talking about learning how to properly introduce yourself and your family, covering the essential vocabulary for food and shopping, asking for directions when you're traveling, and even describing your daily routine. It's incredibly functional and super rewarding, simply because you can immediately go out and use what you're learning. But, eventually you're going to need to talk about things outside of just the immediate present moment. And that brings us right to Module 4, Intermediate French. This is definitely a clear step up in difficulty. Here, your conversational skills get seriously deepened by tackling more complex verb conjugations. You learn the past and future tenses, which is a total game changer because it finally unlocks your ability to tell stories and make plans, rather than just narrating what's happening right now. They also introduce reflexive verbs here and push you toward much more complex natural conversations. This leads us perfectly into Section 4, Advanced Mastery and Exams. We're talking fluency and certification here. So, we've reached the final, most complex stages of the learner's journey. At this point, basic communication, that's no longer the goal. Now we're aiming for true fluency and formal certification. The crucial thing to notice here is visualizing this incredible growth. Remember where we started back in Module 1, just trying to get a handle on simple greetings and the alphabet.
Well, by Module 5, you're mastering idioms, you're constructing highly complex sentences, and they even dive into regional variations, like Canadian French. It is a massive leap in linguistic ability, but it's handled so smoothly through their step-by-step roadmap. And for those of you who actually need to prove your fluency for work, maybe immigration or getting into a university, the core curriculum culminates brilliantly in Module 6. This module is all about dedicated, targeted preparation for the big official language proficiency exams, specifically the TCF, TEF, and the DELF. They aren't just teaching you general French anymore. They are explicitly equipping you with the highly specific tools you need to pass these rigorous, standardized tests. Now, you might be wondering, how on earth do they ensure you actually retain all this information from Module 1 all the way to Module 6? Well, it's all thanks to their highly consistent lesson structure. Across all the modules, every single lesson relies on this super effective 4-step learning loop. It always starts with clear explanations, follows up with relatable real-life examples, enforces those concepts through dedicated practice, and wraps up with a really thorough recap. It's an incredibly reliable framework that practically guarantees you deeply understand the material before you ever move forward. And finally, Section 5, Community and Extra Practice. Let's look at their interactive ecosystem. The core modules are obviously fantastic, but what truly elevates this entire curriculum is the vibrant, interactive ecosystem that completely surrounds those lessons. Just look at this massive wealth of extra content provided right on top of the main roadmap. To keep you completely immersed, they offer short videos, a vocabulary of the day, quick grammar tips, and targeted listening exercises. But what really hits the nail on the head and reinforces that with friends aspect of their channel's name are the speaking challenges and the weekly revision videos. It basically ensures you are constantly practicing and engaging with the language every single day, far beyond just sitting down for a traditional formal lesson. And honestly, their dedication to the community is perfectly summed up by this exact quote regarding their free weekly live sessions. They say, "Please comment your preferred time, PST, for live sessions. We'll choose a schedule that works for most of our community." I mean, this brilliantly illustrates just how viewer-centric and totally inclusive their approach really is. They aren't just broadcasting at you. They are actively working with you to build a supportive schedule and an environment that actually fits into your real life. So, as we wrap up this explainer today, we're left with a pretty simple question for you. Are you ready to subscribe, join the community, and take your very first step from absolute beginner to advanced? Look, if you've been putting off learning French because it just seemed way too chaotic or unstructured, this step-by-step roadmap is absolute proof that with the right guide, fluency is entirely within your reach. It's time to start with that alphabet, tackle those basic numbers 1 through 20, and begin your journey. Thank you so much for joining me today as we unpacked this fantastic curriculum.